All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening in the Russia-Ukraine war, we're joined by Mr. Fred Weir, who's a journalist and also a political commentator. He's joining us live from Moscow. Mr. Weir, considering that the negotiations are going back and forth, one would hope that the ceasefire must be close by. But on the ground, though, what we're witnessing is that the intensity of the war is actually getting more worse. Russia is mobilizing soldiers and is bracing for attacks in places such as Sumy and Kyiv. And apart from this, what we are also beginning to hear is that the American proposal effectively indicates that Ukraine should cede land to Russia. Is this how a ceasefire will come about?
Well, hopefully, and hopefully soon, because this is the advent of springtime, which is fighting season down there. As soon as the ground hardens, the Russians do plan, by most accounts, to launch a massive offensive. And it would be good if that could be prevented. I mean, a massive escalation in the war is not what anybody wants to see, but it's what the Russians have in mind. And I think that the latest proposal, this idea that those 4 regions that Russia has already annexed under its own laws should be ceded to Russia. And that would be the price that Putin might accept for accepting a ceasefire and fast-track negotiations. Short of that, as I said, we're headed for a big Russian offensive,
right,
which by all that we've seen in the last year or so, will not go well for Ukraine.
Interesting. Now, ever since Donald Trump has stepped into the office in the White House, there's been a clear indication within Ukraine that Ukraine has been building up its own indigenous capacity to manufacture the weapons to fight this war. And also it is now increasingly relying on weapons from Europe. Do you think, with the Americans pushing for the Ukrainians to cede the 4 territories that Russia at this moment, although annexed, does not even fully control, and also that minerals deal that Donald Trump is trying to push through on Ukraine, do you think Ukraine is willing at all to negotiate on the terms, forget about Russia, but on the terms that are being dictated by the Americans?
I don't think that the Ukrainians are ready to accept that. No noises out of Kyiv suggest that they are even thinking about giving up territory. In fact, they are still talking about taking back Crimea. What the Americans clearly have realized or come to the understanding of is that that's impossible. That in order to end this war, you're going to have to freeze the line somewhere along where the Russians are already present. So I think that, Steve Witkoff spent 4 hours talking to Putin last night in St. Petersburg. I'm sure this is what they were talking about. What would Russia need in order to accept a ceasefire? So I think we can assume that that's what they're talking about, since we don't know, but since they ended the meeting amicably and Witkoff went back to Washington, we may assume that there's progress on this front, and let's hope that there will be an end to this war very soon.
Very quickly, because we're short of time, considering the fact that these Chinese soldiers or mercenaries were captured by the Ukrainians, there are about 12,000 North Korean soldiers who've been fielded by Russia. It does appear that probably Russia is also having some issues in getting enough manpower on the field. Is there a problem with the Russians fielding the manpower at this moment?
First of all, I think the presence of North Koreans and Chinese forces in any numbers is controversial. We don't see much evidence of that. But also, Russia has not yet, since 2022, launched a mobilization. It can do so at any time. It has 20 million men of military age on its reserve lists. So, no, I don't think that Russia faces a manpower shortage.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Fred Weir, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.